Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Friday. And what a crazy start to the NFL season. Holy cow. Holy cow. What happened last night in the National Football League? Jalen Carter spits on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott spits at the feet of Jalen Carter. CeeDee Lamb point shaves the game away. There's a weather delay for an hour. That was crazy last night. We'll talk about it. Jason Brown is going to join me during the second half of the show. TJ Moe's going to join me in the first half of the show because there's a lot to talk about, not just last night's game. I got to defend Ryan Clark, and I'm going to vigorously, passionately, I'm going to defend Ryan Clark for a generational hot take about generational quarterbacks. I'm going to defend Ryan Clark. This is what makes me different. I'm just telling you, I don't like Ryan Clark, but when he's right, he's right. And when everybody's wrong and overreacting, they're wrong and overreacting. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about my great picks for this football weekend. The Fearless Five will debut at the back end of today's show. I'm going to give you 5 great picks for the football weekend, and we'll keep tabs on this all season. I'm coming out of the gate smoking hot because tonight, I'm just going to give you a little preview. Tonight, I feel real confident as a Chiefs fan, that the Chargers are going to beat the brakes off the Chiefs tonight in Brazil. I feel real confident about that. That I can't believe the Chargers are getting 3.5 points. Jim, anyway, we'll get into that back end of the show. You don't want to miss it. Front end, I'm going to talk a little bit about Cowboys-Eagles. We'll bring TJ Moe in. We'll talk about Spitgate. We'll talk about generational talents. I almost forgot. Caitlin Clark. That's what I was forgetting. It's a wrap for the season. Caitlin Clark's not playing. They finally announced it. They've bilked and milked us out of all the money they can, and now they come out, Caitlin Clark's not going to play. Well, there's only like 3 or 4 games left. The season's over, the regular season, and you know what? I'm done with the WNBA. I'm done. Anyway, I'll get into that as well, and then again, JB at the back end of the show. I want to remind you all that are listening over Apple right now, hit that 5-star review. Write a review. Click that button. Give me 5 stars. It's important. That's how we grow this thing on Apple. I need you guys to do that. And also, I want to thank Craftco for making today's show even possible. Flying Ace. If you've had one bourbon, you've had them all, right? Not so fast, my friend. Flying Ace straight bourbon doesn't just check the usual boxes, it rewrites them. This is a blend of carefully aged bourbon selected not for marketing hype, but for taste. What you get is a smooth, full-bodied sip with real character. You'll catch notes of caramel, vanilla, toasted spice, and just the right hint of fruit. It's bold without being harsh, complex but not complicated. No smoke and mirrors, just a really good bourbon that delivers on every pour. If you're looking for something new that actually lives up to the hype, this is it. Order online at flyingacespirits.com. That's flyingacespirits.com. Use the promo code BLAZE for free shipping. Enjoy your weekend responsibly. All right, let's get into it. For those of you that didn't stay up till damn near midnight last night, because that game went on forever because of the weather delay and lightning and because of safety concerns. But anyway, for those of you that didn't stay up all night and watch the Thursday night football and the kickoff of the NFL season, Jalen Carter, the all-pro defensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, the center of the Eagles Super Bowl defending defense. He went full-blown Hawk Tua. He spit on that thing. And the reason why we're calling it Hawk Tua, because later we found out Dak Prescott spit first. And I was like, holy cow, it's like we're watching a episode or one of these Drewski skits. Drewski pretends like white men are running around spitting at the feet of black men. Dak Prescott and Jalen Carter proved, no, it's actually black men spitting on each other or spitting at each other. And so this is literally before the game actually starts. It's right. The kickoff comes, someone gets hurt on the kickoff, and they got to bring a card out to help some fullback or special teams player get off the field from the kickoff. And so the Cowboys and the Eagles are milling around in their huddle. Jalen Carter, I believe, is talking smack to a rookie offensive lineman for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, feeling spicy and saucy, walks through his huddle and stands between, as you can see there, two Cowboys players, offensive linemen, and spits towards Jalen Carter, who was outside of his huddle and across the line of scrimmage. And Dak says he spit at his feet. He wasn't trying to spit on him. He spits all the time. This triggers Jalen Carter, who walks up to Dak and spits on his shoulder. Jalen Carter gets tossed from the game before a play has been snapped. All that has happened is the kickoff. No play has been snapped. Philadelphia loses its best player, and it's like, holy cow, Philadelphia's got a chance, or the Dallas now has a chance to really move the ball and keep pace with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles go on to win 24-20, but it starts there. It starts with this Spitgate and this full-blown Hawk Tua spitting on that thing. And I have, early on, I was like, man, Jalen Carter, what an idiot. This is irresponsible. The Philadelphia Eagles must take action. Yes, he's been tossed from the game, but there damn well better be a fine, a suspension, something coming down the pike for Jalen Carter. And then we find out, and we see the video of what Dak Prescott did, and I've completely backpedaled. I don't think what Jalen Carter did was justified. I don't think it was the proper reaction. I think it was an overreaction. But I got no problem with Jalen Carter. Dak Prescott did something to trigger him, and I'm not buying Dak Prescott's excuse here that, yeah, I was just spitting, like I always do. Anyway, let's play Dak Prescott in his explanation of, what happened. Let's play SOT number 2.
Yeah, I probably spit 1,000 times throughout the game. I mean, especially game day, maybe even in general, and something I guess I'm not proud of. But in that case, he was trolling, I guess you could say, trying to mess with Tyler Booker. I was just looking at him. I was right here by the two linemen, and I guess I needed to spit, and I wasn't going to spit on my lineman, and I just spit ahead. But I would say he was back there where Jory was in that sense, and he asked, or he goes, "You trying to spit on me?" And at that point, I mean, I felt like he was insulting me. Like I wouldn't spit on somebody. I'm damn sure not trying to spit on you. Like we're about to play a game. I'm wondering why you're trying to mess with the rookie. And so when I stepped through, I actually said the words like, "What the hell would I?" Excuse me, but I'm probably even more colorful. What would I need?
Well, Dak Prescott actually did it. He went full-blown Drewski, and he triggered Jalen Carter and got a reaction from him. And Jalen Carter overreacted. But I cannot sit here and just totally vilify Jalen Carter. You're about to play a football game. It's the opening night. It's Thursday night football. Half of America's watching. You're fired up. You've been going through training camp where you really haven't been able to be physical and hit anybody. You're on pins and needles. You're getting ready for combat. You're getting ready you're in that mindset. You've drawn up all this dark energy to prepare yourself for 3 hours of football and how you want to destroy the other team. And a guy spits at your feet and then puts a little smile on his face and tries to taunt you and you overreact. Not justifying it, but I'm just sorry. I'm not that upset with Jalen Carter. Let's hear from Jalen Carter. Let's play SOT number 3.
I heard the ref talking, and then I heard him say, "This is a tossable offense," or something like that, and that's when I knew.
Did you have a conversation with Nick, and if so, what kind of message did he relay to you?
I didn't have a conversation yet. I know we're going to have that conversation. They have to focus on the game still. I don't want to distract them from the game. You know, I came in, I talked to the D-line, told them what I was seeing while I was watching the game inside. That's all.
What was it like watching the rest of the game?
It was intense for me. You know, I wanted to be out there with the guys so bad, and just to support and help, even just standing on the sideline. But you know, things went how it went. You know, we just got to move on. I've made a promise to them boys; it won't happen again.
Are you worried you might be suspended? Are you worried you might be suspended?
If I get that text or that call and by that conversation, then we'll handle it as then.
Jalen, when it happened, were you like in a fit of rage, or what was your?
No, I was calm. You know, I walked off the field calmly. I was not mad. You know, that's pretty much. I couldn't really do nothing else. You know, the ref decision is the ref decision on the situation.
You said you weren't. Last one, did Dak say anything, or was there anything that just made you walk over there?
I don't know. You know, when things started to come out and you start seeing things, then we can go off that. But I don't got nothing to say about it. You know.
I got to give Jalen Carter credit. He handled that post game beautifully. Didn't make excuses. Didn't say, hey, he spit first. He basically said, hey, wait till y'all see the rest of the information and then you'll understand. I liked the way Jalen Carter handled this. And he's a bit of a hothead. He's Georgia defensive lineman. He drives too fast. He drives irresponsibly. Get it. Got it. Understand it. But in this case, he gets tossed from the game. He doesn't get triggered and start arguing with the ref and start saying, hey, he spit first. He didn't handle it like a little kid. He's like, damn, I spit on this guy's shoulder. I responded second. I responded in a way the refs could see it clearly. I got this like a man, and when the press comes in, I'm not going to point a finger at Dak. I'm going to explain, what I saw, what happened to me, how I handled it, and I'm going to do it in a calm fashion. This is halfway. He's turning lemons into lemonade. He made a mistake, but he's handled it well. And really, what should happen, and I need to put this conversation to the side. I'll argue it with TJ Moe here in a second, because the real story from that game last night that's been overshadowed by the Hawk Tua situation, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb needs to be sending money, flowers, gifts, virgins to Jalen Carter. Thank you. You've overshadowed the fact that I blew this game, that I came out in the first half and put up 110 receiving yards and looked spectacular, and then I tossed the game, I threw the game in the second half with a series of drop passes that mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. What he did in the fourth quarter, mind-blowing. And I've heard people cape up that last one there, cape up and defend contract. What are we doing here? And again, this is why if I'm Jerry Jones, I ain't Micah Parsons giving him all this money. I keep giving these guys all this money, and they keep letting me down. CeeDee Lamb was horrendous. And I'm telling you, and I said this before the season, I don't see him as a number one receiver. I don't see him as some kind of special receiver. Me and John Hadley argued about this a couple of months ago, and Hadley's got to eat some crow. And CeeDee Lamb's got a bunch I don't care what he does the rest of this regular season. He's not a guy that I trust. He's not Julio Jones. He's not Megatron. He's not Tyreek. He's not Tyreek Hill. He's not A.J. Brown. He's a guy with some talent, but he doesn't. There's an it factor that goes along with a number one receiver, and he ain't got it. And he cost him the game, and I'm someone that said it yesterday and believe it. Like, Hey, man, Dak's regular season really doesn't matter because it only matters what he does in the postseason. And I'm telling you, last night, I was sitting there like, well, hold it. His regular season may matter. There's something about Dak that looked different. He appears to be in better shape. He appears to be manipulating and moving in the pocket better. He certainly appeared to me to be more accurate with his passing. He certainly appeared to be Alisa Childers, Katie Faust, Taylor Dukes, and more. Worship will be led by Francesca Ballesteros, and it's going to be an incredible experience. So if you're a woman who's been craving encouragement and biblical truth, this is for you. And if you're a husband, dad, or brother listening, think about your wife, daughter, sister, niece, whatever, the woman in your life who needs this. In a culture that's constantly pulling in the wrong direction, this is a chance to stop, reset, and get grounded in biblical truth. Tickets and details are at sharethearrows.com. Yes, the VIP options are still available. All right, TJ Moe, next. Go look at the history of Angel Reese. I'm going to play for my home state team in Maryland. I'm going to do it for Maryland, y'all. Going got tough. Angel got going. I'm going to transfer to LSU and play for Kim Mulkey and a super team and snatch me a ring and troll Caitlin Clark. What happened the next year after winning that championship? Angel Reese, the start of that season in Kim Mulkey's doghouse, suspended or something went on at the beginning of that season. They don't repeat as national champion. This is Angel Reese. She is a headache. And I know factually, no one enjoys playing with her. All right, TJ Moe joining me, the Show Me Kid. TJ, Spitgate. How you slice this pie? How wrong? How upset with you? Scale of 1 to 100. How much blame should we be heaping? I was at totally 100%, and then when the second half or the video comes out, like, oh well, that kind of triggered this guy. I've dropped down to a full. I'm probably at 68% upset with Jalen Carter. I've dropped that much. And this morning I was at 80%, but I'm down to about 68%. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's absurd. It is very anti-Whitlock. Yeah, Whitlock that I know would be disagreeing with this Jason Whitlock take, one that I think is indefensible. Jalen Carter is an all-pro, has not played a snap yet. This isn't the end of the game. It's not fourth quarter, blow. Entire game to be an all-pro defensive lineman to try to kill this man. And instead you spit on him and spent the rest of that somebody spit in front of you. He didn't spit on you. This wasn't a split-second reaction, because there is a difference. We've all been there, where you do something out of impulse and immediately you swing. Somebody hits you in the face, you're swinging, you don't even know what happened. You're in fight or flight mode. Wasn't it? He stopped and thought about this, walked forward, had a little exchange, and then spit on him. It is indefensible to me. Is a guy, imagine the conversation you're having with the coach, Whitlock. So what happened? Well, he spit. He spit where? Well, he spit on the ground. He didn't spit on you. No, he spit on the ground. Okay, then what happened? Well, then I walked up to him, and then what? Did he cuss you out? Nah, he said he didn't spit on me. Okay, so you spit on his face, and you spit on his shoulder, okay. And then you spent the rest of the day in the locker room. Spent the rest of the day in the locker room watching as we're celebrating our Super Bowl, as you're the one guy that everybody in the stadium, including Dak Prescott, who after the game admitted, we changed our entire blocking scheme the second that he went out. You changed the game because you were too stupid. After you thought about it, wasn't impulse. After you thought about it, you spit on the quarterback of the other team. You could have pushed him. Nobody would have had any problems. There's only two things you can't do. You can't punch him and you can't spit on him. That's it.
TJ, just it was in the moment. Because here's what actually happened. Dak Prescott spits down at his feet, in his direction, whatever. Jalen Carter is like, what just happened? And he kind of walks up even more aggressively. Dak puts that little smile and nods his head, and they exchange words. And in this 2 to 3 seconds that I'm talking about, Jalen Carter figures out like, oh, he didn't try to spit on me, but he was spitting and trying to be like, yeah, man, you think you about this life. What Dak did was triggering and confrontational. And when Jalen Carter tried to figure out like, oh, this wasn't some accident, Dak knew exactly what he was doing. That's when he's like, oh, two can play at that game. And he went hawk to it. I'm saying he's 68 to 69 to 70%.
100, Whitlock. 100. And if I could go above that, I would. He's an idiot. His entire team should be. Everybody should get to take turns kicking him in the shins as they walk through the locker room for being an idiot and nearly costing his team the game, because that game would not have been close had he been in there.
I don't know this because I never played wide receiver. And so I don't know this. So I'm asking sincerely. Like, when you're an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, linebacker, when you play in the full, every play is combat position, you take your mind to such a dark place to where they're in this ultimate violent mindset. And that's where Jalen Carter was. And I'm not sure if you can relate to that feeling, that intensity, that toxic masculinity that you release all over your body to try to sustain you for the next 3 hours while you play football. Do receivers do anything like that? And I'm just saying, and so if right before the game you're in this mindset, you're in this hyper state, hyper aggressive, and you've been thinking all week, I can't wait to sack Dak Prescott and to beat up these offensive linemen. I just wonder if, as a wide receiver, if you've been in that mindset that a defensive lineman and offensive lineman goes to. And I just think it's a little bit easier to get triggered in that mindset.
I don't know. Well, in the mindset, probably true. I don't know the difference. I can't tell you what it's like to be an offensive guard, but I can tell you that, half the plays are run plays, and I was a slot receiver tasked with blocking somebody twice my size every play. And so my job was to go make sure that I'm not always the nail. Occasionally I can be the hammer and don't get a concussion this play. So you did have to gear up for that. There were many a times where we got to, and look, particularly in practice, you don't throw you don't throw a lot of punches in games, but you throw a lot of punches in practice. And guys were fighting all the time. And so I get it. And this is why I said, if this was like a split, somebody punched you in the face and you turn around and punch them back, and it's just impulse, it's one thing. I don't buy your 4 or 5 seconds of, oh, he finally got it. He spit on me. Now I'm spitting back on him. And this is why I think it's contradictory to some of the things you've said in the past. Not exactly, but it doesn't go in the line with some of what you said. This is roughly, in a different way, the equivalent of when you destroy these young black kids for getting so triggered over somebody saying the N-word. It's like the guy didn't even spit on you. The guy spit in front of you. There is no excuse to get this triggered.
Here's the difference. Someone, I've told the story of being a pool woman calling me the N-word and people calling me the N-word, whatever. But let's say I'm at a bar. We're having drinks. We're listening to music. I didn't go to that bar to fight. I went to go have a drink, eat some food, maybe flirt a little, whatever. They went, hey, we're going to meet in Philadelphia to have a football game and try to beat each other up. That's a whole different mentality. So someone randomly calling me the N-word or trying to aggressive, hey man, I'm here to eat a meal, listen to some music, maybe flirt, whatever. I'm not here to have confrontations with people that are idiots. And so that's when I'm at school, I'm not here for fights. I'm here to be educated. I'm here because I got to do this to stay eligible for football or whatever. They have agreed we're going to meet on September 4th on Thursday night, and we're going to have a fight. and then someone before the fight jumps off starts spitting and talking smack to you, and you spit back, you get triggered. That's completely different.
No.
And I just got to throw in.
Jason.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. What?
No.
What? Why?
Look, I would buy what you're saying if the guy spit in his face. I'm just telling you, the guy, like, you're building something up. He spit on the ground in front of you, and you got so triggered that you couldn't control yourself. That's your argument. I don't buy that. It's a crazy position. It really is. He had time to think it through, had to walk up, get upstairs. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
He spit in his direction. It's not, look, I would have never done it. I would have never done it. Look, I've told the story. I'm not going to name the guy because I remember the name of the player. He played for Northern Illinois, defensive lineman. Guy called me the N-word during the game, and we were beating the brakes off of him. I was laughing at the guy and pointing to his teammates and like, because I knew guys on his team, black guys on his team. I was like, I can't believe this guy's calling me the N-word, and y'all got to huddle up with him, blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't have done what Jalen Carter did, but I could see how it happens.
Why are you defending him?
Because I'm not defending him. I'm throwing most of the blame on him, but Dak Prescott is partially responsible here.
That's his job. He baited him into being an idiot. And Jalen, who, again, is one of the best players in the league, 6 seconds into a game before the other thing that makes me so frustrated, and I guarantee you this is what every coach is saying to him right now, all of his teammates who have any sense at all, and probably himself, and why he's handled this so well. You know how many shots he was going to have at Dak Prescott? He might have hit him 10 times at some point, and instead you thought you did a little more damage spitting on his shoulder?
The chat's gonna have to handle this from here and just pick a side. I could understand what Jalen Carter. That doesn't mean I agree with it. Doesn't mean I condone it. But I understand how he got there. And part of that is, and people have heard me talk about this on the show. It's one of the most embarrassing moments in my life. One of the things I regret most in my life. I bullied a kid and spit on him when I was 17, 18 years old in high school. And I certainly regret it. And so I know how you can get wrapped up in that kind of stupidity and when you're young. And Jalen Carter has learned a lesson. And I think post-game, I love the way he handled it. He didn't make a bunch of excuses. He basically indicated, hey, the full story is going to come out. You guys decide. Clearly, I was wrong. I'm going to put a pin. You guys in the chat decided, do you have any grace at all for Jalen Carter, given the fact that Dak Prescott baited him? And I think Dak Prescott actually has grace for him and knows exactly what he did and somewhat regrets it. Dak was trolling and put spitting on the table. If Dak had just limited it to talking smack, hey, back up, leave my boy alone, blah, blah, blah. But he threw a little spit in there, threw a little Haktua, and he got a little Haktua back. We're
having a different conversation.
He looked tremendous. Yeah.
But I agree. I came away with this liking Jalen more. I'll tell you that, because I don't mind mistakes. It's 100% his fault, but I love the way he handled it. He nearly cost his team the game. And I like him more because of all of it. Very few guys do what he did. Most make excuses. I will say he is the spitting image of Stacey Abrams. I had not ever seen him without a helmet before, but if you've seen Stacey, he's Stacey Abrams without the gap in his teeth. I saw that on Twitter, and that's exactly true.
That's pretty good. Stacey Abrams should not like that. It's not an insult to Jalen Carter. That's a shot at Stacey Abrams across the bow. Hey, I want to move on. I'm going to leave the whole Cowboys game alone, 24-20. Congratulations to the Eagles. Ryan Clark said something yesterday that triggered everybody, and I don't get this at all, why this was so triggering. Let's play Ryan Clark talking about generational talent.
I think John Elway was a generational talent. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I don't think Tom Brady, I don't think Drew Brees, I don't think Peyton Manning are generational talents. I think Andrew Luck ended up being a generational talent. I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
But so then what? Then how does one, in your eyes, be a generational talent? Because there's not a lot of difference.
Production. Let me chime in here because I love the argument back and forth between y'all. I ain't trying to get in the way of it. But here's the reality. The operative word here is. Do you believe Arch Manning is a generational talent? He could be, but he's not.
Why not?
Not yet. What have you seen to say that he is?
There's no evidence.
There's no evidence.
Here's why I'm defending Ryan Clark. Because an NFL defensive back and an NFL quarterback were having a conversation about generational talent, and they were talking about talent. And Stephen A. Smith, a fraud, an idiot with no athletic experience, doesn't know what he's talking about, totally revamped the conversation and made it about production. Ryan Clark's not talking about production. Dan Orlovsky, as he's talking about Arch Manning, he's not talking about production. He's talking about potential and talent and God-given abilities that make people generational talents. The greatest generational talent at the quarterback position, Ryan Clark is 1,000% right, it's John Elway. And he actually lived up to that generational talent. There are many people, there was somebody he listed, Andrew Luck. He didn't live up to that generational talent. He got beat up, he quit football, and I'm not saying that negatively. He got beat up and he left football. He didn't live up to that generation. I grew up with a guy named Jeff George. Generational talent. Didn't live up to it. That's the conversation they were having. Ryan Clark was not trying to insult Peyton Manning or Drew Brees or anybody, because what you want to be is a generational player, not a generational talent. And all of those guys are generational players. And I actually have, John Elway is my favorite quarterback, favorite player in NFL history, but I actually have more respect, not that I don't respect John Elway, but I actually have more respect for Tom Brady for making himself into a generational player with all the intangibles and the skills that he developed to accentuate the talent that he did have.
So I was going to tell you to go ahead and defend Stephen A. Smith there, because that is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. A generational talent meaning production. I don't even know what that means. And that you could tell that both of them were somewhat annoyed. Ryan Clark would never admit it, but he was annoyed that Stephen A. Smith hijacked the conversation there because he made an interesting point. I think we need to define terms here, though, a little bit, because I think I agree with you. It's a very interesting, something I never thought about before. I was following your Twitter yesterday, that, skills are not God-given, that talent's God-given, skills are developed. Never had thought of that in my life. And the reason it resonates is because I've been in a locker room. We've all been around super talented guys where you're like, that dude just don't have it, and he's never going to have it. And whatever generational talent, the 5 stars next to his name don't mean a thing. I played with 5-star guys that performed like 2 stars, and they played, and then coaches were too embarrassed to put them on the field after a while. I played with those guys, and I played with a lot of 2 stars. Denario Alexander, I think, was a 2-star, ended up being the leading receiver in all NCAA football his senior year. I played with a bunch of those guys, and so that was developed talent. Now, as it relates to the star system, it's a little bit different because you should be evaluating talent there. They just missed on it. But the point is that this is why I say we should define terms, and this is a question for you, because so I would consider you, and I'll be interested to see if you disagree with this, a generational talent as a sports writer. That's my view of you. You may say, no, you're not. You've developed that skill. But where I'm going with this is to say your talent isn't in your hand. It's not your ability to type the words. It's in your mind, right? It's the gift that I think that you had as a sports writer was the ability to string together a lot of unique ideas and present things in a compelling way that a lot of people were interested in reading. That was in your mind. And so Tom Brady's real talent, his generational talent, if he does have any, is in his head. And I watched it. It's his ability to read defenses, to be so far ahead of everybody. That's something you can't really quantify. And so I don't know how, if we're talking just arm talent or just the ability, Jamarcus Russell, yeah, that's a generational physical gift that he did not have any of the motivation, skills, as you would say, or the mind talent to get there. But Tom Brady is more gifted in the mind, Peyton Manning more gifted in the mind than any quarterback that's ever existed. I'm not just talking about IQ. I'm talking about the ability to process information.
I think that the stress test for quarterbacks over the last 20 years has been reduced to such a level that it's hard for me to say, oh, smartest quarterbacks to ever do it, Brady and Manning. I was like, how do I know they're smarter than Roger Staubach? Roger Staubach used to have to call plays. Roger Staubach used to get beat up in a real way that these guys just don't. And I know there was an early part of their career where they got beat up a little bit, but not the way Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw and these people did. And so it's hard for me to go there. What I will say, let's take your analogy about Tom Brady reading defenses. Everything that I've heard from Tom Brady has been, man, you know how much film I studied? Mm-hmm. Do you know how much film I studied? And so it wasn't just well, I don't need to study film. I can just show up and read a defense. No, he was taught how to read a defense. He had to constantly study to read a defense, and that's like me in writing. I do believe I was blessed with a gift to be able to tie stories together and see themes and be a critical thinker about sports. But as it relates to the writing, there's a guy named Bill O'Connor that was my editor at the Charlotte Observer, and he would tell you I had virtually no writing ability. He had to browbeat it out of me, and he did, and I thank God for him. And others, and Bob Hamill, who just passed away, and Andy Graham at the Bloomington Herald Times. These guys helped me develop a writing skill. The thoughts, those, I will say, those come from God. I go back to my childhood and things that I would say to my family and friends, like, I can't believe I was saying this stuff at 8, 9, 10 years old, things that I now like fully understand. That's some sort of gift. But the things, and the other thing that, I got involved in all these arguments over X yesterday, where I just thought people were crazy, is I don't think there's a full understanding by virtually anybody, maybe even the competitors that play quarterback. I don't think they've given it enough thought about what it really took to be a great quarterback up until the last 15 years. And what Tom Brady and Phil Simms and Brett Favre, and I could go on and on, these guys all had the biggest pair of balls that you've ever seen at the quarterback position. They would take hits to deliver that football to a receiver downfield, and then all the players would go back and look on film and see, like, man, Brady, man, he's as courageous as Lawrence Taylor. He's got as big a balls as Ray Lewis. And they would fall in love with him because, like, oh, man, that's what we respect. We see someone masculine and courageous. And so people were saying, well, Tom Brady, he's a generational leader, and that's a talent. No, he's courageous. And that's what made him a great leader. That was his foundation of leadership. Everybody respected Tom Brady because they'd go watch the film and say, man, this dude is like a linebacker sitting in there playing quarterback. And it made the receivers respect you. It made the offensive linemen respect you. It makes the defensive guys respect you. That's why, Ray Lewis swears by Tom Brady and loves Tom Brady. And so I just, Stephen A. dirtied up the conversation, making it about production. Many people think, some guy was arguing with me, IQ is the most important trait for a quarterback. Like, Ryan Fitzpatrick scored a 48, 49 on the Wonderlic. Carson Wentz scored a 40 on the Wonderlic. Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard. It's not IQ. It's courage. And again, if I'm gonna go biblical, and I apologize to some of the audience for doing this, I don't have to apologize to you, but There's a reason why the Bible repeatedly says, do not fear.
Yeah.
Because an absence of courage destroys men and prevents men from accomplishing things. Courage is the ingredient. And just as like I told people before, like IQ is the most important trait. Man, all these wicked IQ people that are building things to destroy and kill babies in the womb, and you can take this pill and you can do that. And I'm not down on IQ, but like it's the source of everything. No dice for me. Courage, which comes from faith. Again, and Tom Brady is not religious, it doesn't appear now, but the courage he displayed playing quarterback is a faith-based concept that he may not fully understand. I'm rambling. I'm going to let you get back in here. Go
No, I
ahead.
like that. So I think you've explained your point very well, and I agree with it. The point that I most agree with, you were talking about leadership. This is something I've thought a ton about over the last couple of years, because I was always seen as a leader. I was captain of my high school football team. I was captain at Mizzou. You know, I run my own companies, whatever. But over the last, like, if you actually start reading about leadership and read books from the best leaders and people who train leaders, and you start doing real self-reflection, you realize that there is no such thing as a natural born leader. Does not exist. It's the stupidest phrase that we ever use it. Kid's a natural born leader. No, you're not. God gave you some leadership ability, and God gave Tom Brady a lot of football ability, and then he took it and developed it. And he's done that with leadership. And as you pointed out, IQ, not that big of a deal, truly. You know, I have no idea what Tom Brady's IQ is. He's never struck me as like the smartest guy in the room. I think he's smart, but like, is he a, you know?
I think he scored a 30 on the Wonderlic. I think maybe a 33. Maybe a 33.
I scored a 36, yeah. Okay, and I made it in the NFL for exactly 0 downs. So there you go. IQ's
Brett
not
Favre
exactly.
scored a 22.
Yeah.
Brett Favre scored a 22.
You should be above a 7 or so, which is what I think some of the wide receivers get nowadays. That it would be helpful for you to, you know, just be above retard level. But your general point is this. Nobody's arguing that Tom Brady is not one of the most gifted people to ever exist. Like all these guys are. When you say generational talent, you're talking about once in a generation. You can't have 10 generational talents all in one. Like you're talking about, was Tom Brady the most gifted guy? Because he would go out there based on his talent. He didn't start at Michigan most of his career. Based on his talent, he was the 7th quarterback picked in his own draft. So you can't tell me he's a generational talent if everybody missed this talent. What he had was incredible talent, NFL level talent, and he developed his skills and, I would say more importantly, his leadership ability to be able to galvanize a team, push everybody forward, have a set of expectations for himself, like Michael Jordan did. If you ever watched the documentary that he had, he's like, look, I had a standard and I wanted you guys to win, but you know, I wanted to win too. And if you guys don't like it, that's your problem, but I'm going to set the standard. That is how Tom Brady acts, and he did down to every little detail. I've told you this stupid little story. It's one of the few memories that I have. I didn't spend a lot of time around Tom Brady. We're sitting there in the weight room, and in between sets, like it's not like he's exactly the strongest guy in the world. He's doing like 135 pounds on the bench press. But in between each set, he's looking in the mirror and practicing on air his throwing motion. This is in 2013. After the guy had already been to 5 Super Bowls. He's just looking at the mechanics. That's a skill. Mechanics are a skill. I can have great mechanics. I may not be able to throw it 12 yards, but I can have great mechanics. That is a skill. So I totally agree with you. In spite of my disdain for Ryan Clark, I do have to agree with him and you, and I think it's a very interesting, provocative thought and a delineation that most people haven't really thought of before.
I gave some analogies yesterday. Wilt Chamberlain, generational talent. Bill Russell, I don't think is a generational talent, but he outperformed Wilt Chamberlain. And it just, I don't think Larry Bird was a generational talent. Shaq, 7'2", just coming out of the womb. There were, again, it's like with Jeff George, I'm telling you, in 4th and 5th grade, we were saying, hey, man, this guy's going to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft. That's a no one, I don't think anyone was saying that about Tom Brady when he was in 4th, 5th, 6th grade. And I don't even know if they were saying it when he was in high school, because he was probably a 3-4 star recruit.
They didn't say it until 2007. 2007 is the first time anybody uttered that word, when he had Randy Moss on his team.
Yes.
You think anybody called him a generational talent after his 3 Super Bowls? I don't think so.
No. So it was a really silly, stupid meltdown over Ryan Clark, and I think it is triggered partially because Ryan Clark's commentary comes with so much baggage of all of his racial idolatry, and people just heard it wrong, and then Stephen A. Smith helped them hear it the wrong way, and then people got triggered, and then it becomes this race war, and how dare Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent, but Tom Brady isn't, and it just became stupid. And I will say this: I don't think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I think he's got an elite arm from his dad with the whole baseball thing, but that's about
Who
it.
is?
But
Trevor Lawrence. How's he doing?
yes, yes.
There
He
are
was the
very
next
few
John Elway, the
generational
next Andrew Luck.
Yes. Like they're very, and look, I played with the generational talent at wide receiver at Mizzou in Dorial Green Beckham. And how'd that go? Like generational talents, you probably don't know most of their names, or you have heard them in passing, or they had most of those guys, for this reason, that's an extension of this conversation, really. I think most coaches would prefer the guy who's just outside the generational talent, who has somebody to look ahead of. I don't want to coach the generational talent guys. Not interested. It's been too easy.
And the work ethic that when you don't have too much talent, you focus in on all the little small details and skills, the footwork and all this other stuff, the film study to read the defense. No one is tearing down Tom Brady. We're actually celebrating him and trying to send a message to other young people. Hey, you don't need to have the most talent. You need to have more discipline than everybody else. You need to have more courage than everyone else. You need to have a work ethic that's better than everyone else. And you can catch up with people with talent. Ray Lewis, not a generational talent. Brian Urlacher, to me, at middle linebacker, generational talent. And Brian Urlacher had a Hall of Fame career. No one's questioning that. But he ain't Ray Lewis. And that's because he's 2 inches. Ray Lewis is 2 inches shorter, a step and a half slower than Brian Urlacher. Brian Urlacher could have played safety. Ray Lewis could not have. And Ray Lewis just lived and breathed football and studied it. TJ, I got to let you go. I've beat that topic up, and I don't want to get too far behind schedule because I got to squeeze in my take here on Caitlin Clark shutting it down for the season, and then I got to make sure I got plenty of room for Coach JB, Jason Brown. So when we come back, I'll talk about Caitlin Clark being shut down for the season. Next.
Guys, when it comes to developing, is acquiring as many valuable data points we can. Now, we know these things take time.
When you let incompetence and feminist agendas into your decision-making room, and then they're putting her out there in a press conference because her voice is valuable. She must be heard. I am woman. Hear Catherine roar. This is it. So they're doing the same gimmick within their offices as well. When the cameras are not there, we must hear from Catherine. Let's hear her perspective. And she rambles some gibberish and feminist gibberish. And everybody goes off into some fantasy world like what she has to say is important. Delusion is killing us. It's killing the Cleveland Browns.
As the WNBA turns, starring Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson. Brought to you by George Soros, Adam Silver, Kathy Engelbert, and the Global Elite.
All right, welcome back. Caitlin Clark released a statement yesterday, as well as the Indiana Fever, about the end of her season. Let's hear from Caitlin Clark. She got injured some point in July, hasn't played for 2 months, basically has disappeared, hasn't talked to the media at all, did an interview with Sue Bird. This has been the strangest injury, absence of a superstar player. This has been a joke, and the WNBA has, in my view, blown its opportunity. And so let me read from Caitlin Clark. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and an important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs. Caitlin Clark. So, when you talk about some of the biggest fumbles in the history of sports, what transpired this year in the WNBA and with Caitlin Clark is the biggest fumble in the history of sports. Women have been fighting for 60 years. We want a place in sports. We want to be the biggest stars in sports. And they finally get the biggest star in sports, and it's Caitlin Clark. They hate her. They beat her up and brutalize her. But here's what's even worse. Caitlin Clark brings attention to the WNBA. She centers all these WNBA basketball players and shines a spotlight on them. And you know what? They're all hot garbage. They're all unlikable. Holy cow. This is what bothers me about Caitlin Clark, is I've had to sit through and watch these clowns, these angry, entitled, pay us what you owe us, alphabet mafia women who I can't stand. I wish I'd never heard the name Angel Reese. Holy cow. What? Angel Reese hates her teammates, calls Indiana Fever fans, the people that they've been, we need fans. Indiana Fever fans show up, and the WNBA, from Angel Reese to that Alyssa Thomas, all these Indiana Fever fans, they're all racist. And we all hate Indiana. And I'm like, I'm from Indiana. I'm from Indianapolis. These fans ain't racist. They showing up in record numbers to support a group of black lesbians. How are they racist? And yes, I know they're there primarily for Caitlin Clark, but they're cheering for everybody in the league. They didn't get the benefit of Caitlin Clark's excellence and excitement this year. This is the most disappointing season I've ever had as a sports fan because, it's like, hey, Caitlin Clark, year 2. This is going to be amazing. And then she misses 30 of the games. And they keep stringing us along. Maybe she'll come back. Maybe she won't. Maybe she'll come back. Oh, she did this. She did that. They kept it all secret. They've kept her hidden from everybody. And so now I feel like I've been ripped off and bilked. And I've been forced to watch a bunch of angry feminists wave a finger at me, call me the bad guy, those aren't the fans we want. From Angel Reese to Asia Wilson to Alyssa Thomas to that clown DeWanna Bonner that quit on the Fever. Can't stand any of them. Won't be back. And I know I said this this past offseason when Caitlin Clark went a tiny bit woke, and I got upset and I said I won't be back, but I got all caught up. They brought Sophie Cunningham on the team, and I got all caught up, and I'm not coming back. They're going to have a woke stoppage probably this offseason as these entitled feminists keep complaining that they're underpaid. I'm not coming back. I can't stand these women. And they've taken, I got to be careful here, but none of these women, none, and when I say none, I'm including Sophie and Caitlin in this. None of these women know how to handle this spotlight. It's like, man, I like Sophie Cunningham. Gorgeous. Put some clothes on, Sophie. Quit putting out videos of you in bikinis every time you turn around. Show a little Midwest class. And I like you. But damn it, put some clothes on from time to time. Now, I'm serious, and I like you. And I know women can't stand actual feedback and correction. But you ain't got to show it all in order to be attractive when you're attractive. And Caitlin Clark, and I know these Caitlin Clark groupies are going to hate me for saying it, but this is the other part of this dropping of the bag or fumbling the football. It's like they can't get Caitlin Clark to quit arguing with the referees. That's what we were treated to this season. Caitlin Clark on the bench yelling at the referees. I've had it. I've seen it enough. Leave the damn referees alone. You look spoiled and entitled. Every time this is what we've seen for the last 2 months. Caitlin Clark yelling at the referees. This league is unlikable. And I've tried. I've bent over backwards. I've taken all kinds of heat and criticism for talking about the WNBA. That's how much I liked Caitlin Clark and had a hope that she would make the WNBA interesting. I don't hate these women. And I knew what I was in for. I knew that, it was a group of angry lesbians, but damn, much worse than I thought. Much worse. So, Caitlin, do better. If again, I won't even be there. Whenever y'all come back from your woke stoppage or work stoppage or whatever, I'm not going to be there. Seen enough, had enough, tried hard enough. I've been over backwards. Feel betrayed. All right, I'm done with that. JB, just around the corner. We'll talk some more football with Coach JB. Next.
So when was the time to call timeout?
I was just
I'm just getting the elephant out the room, Gurney. You know.
Deion Sanders made a mistake. He's not the first coach to make a mistake as it relates to timeouts and clock management. He's not the first coach to make the mistake of defending his mismanagement. It happens he's not alone. His motivations are a bit different. Other people would have, after 4 days, have come up with a better response than to sit out there and say, what do you mean? We lost 4 yards on first down. Should we have called a timeout then? Well, of course you should have. You let 20 some odd seconds run off the clock because you didn't take a timeout. It's idolatry when you make yourself an idol. And Deion has made himself and his skin color an idol. He's constantly protecting that idol. When you remove yourself from being your own idol, when you don't take on your skin color as an idol, it becomes much easier to acknowledge your mistakes. All right, welcome back. I screwed up. I told JB 11:10, which we're about 5 minutes away from, because I thought I wanted to go longer killing the WNBA. And then I got into it, I got fired up, and I was like, you know, I'm so fed up with the WNBA that I don't even want to talk about them anymore. And so I ended that segment a little bit early, so we're a tiny bit ahead of schedule now as it relates to JB. And so I'm going to make a couple of more points about because JB and I are going to talk about Spitgate, but we're also going to talk about this generational talent deal. And I'm going to start with the generational talent deal. And so I'm going to start that conversation before JB gets here. I'm going to start unpacking a tiny few more parts of my conversation as it relates to generational talent. And TJ made the point that I really wanted to hammer in on, or he reminded me of the point that I really wanted to hammer in on, that I tweeted out yesterday when I was going back and forth with people over social media about generational talent. When have you ever heard someone say, God-given skill? You never hear it because people kept arguing with me about, well, Brady's got this skill and that skill, and these are all generational talents. I'm like, no, they're skills. His footwork. Someone was trying to argue with me about his footwork and how that was generational. I was like, you know, he learned that. That's a skill that he learned. That's a skill that he practiced every day for 20 some odd years to develop that. And just like I told TJ, the whole reading defenses, that comes from the most prepared quarterback, perhaps in the history of football. He and Tom Brady may be in competition for that in terms of preparation. But all this stuff about, oh, he's the smartest quarterback to ever play. I'm like, y'all got to miss me with that because we just don't know. Because the game has been dumbed down. And some guy, because everything's been racialized and because Ryan Clark's attached to it and Stephen A. Smith was part of the conversation, some of y'all white guys have gotten so defensive that you hear everything through a racial lens. And some guy was accusing me of, oh, Jason, you just want to protect the DEI quarterbacks. And I'm like, and the guy follows me on social media. I'm like, what show have you been watching? What tweets have you been reading? I've been arguing for years, like, hey, they've dumbed down the quarterback position. These guys don't have to call plays. They don't even have to, you know, in my day, there were these hand signals that's how they signaled in the plays. And the quarterback had to study and know all these different hand signals in order to call a play. Now they just talk in an earpiece in your helmet and tell you the play, or the play is written on a card across your wrist and they tell you what number to go, blah, blah, blah. But they've dumbed down the whole position. This isn't some great test of IQ. It's a great test of instincts. It's a great test of preparation. But this isn't some great IQ challenge. It's like when I point out, like, hey, man, someone said, Tom Brady's the smartest quarterback ever, and IQ is the number one trait you have to have for a quarterback. I'm like, really? What? You just haven't. I don't want to call any names. I don't want, but man, there's some great quarterbacks that can't spell cat. And I'm not even dissing them. Because if I had been a quarterback, I'd have been one of them big dummies that say, I wonder if Whitlock can spell cat. But what they wouldn't have ever questioned, and this isn't me trying to be tough, sound tough, because I'm not, but it's just true. They'd have never questioned my courage. And that would have given me a chance to be a great quarterback. And courage is more valuable than IQ. And if you look at the lack of courage that has destroyed America, is destroying sports, is destroying everything. Guys sit around, we don't even want to take the risk of telling some man, no, you're not a woman, no, you can't come in this bathroom, and no, you cannot come play on this football team or volleyball team, or swim. You can't swim against Riley Gaines. That's how little courage, that's how in short supply courage is. JB is ready to go. Thank you, JB. Sorry for the confusion. I want to start with the generational talent discussion. I want to replay the clip, JB. I know you've seen it, but I just want the audience. Let's all be on the same page. Here is Ryan Clark, Stephen A. Smith, and Dan Orlovsky talking about generational talent as it relates to the quarterback position. Play the clip.
I think John Elway was a generational talent. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I don't think Tom Brady, I don't think Drew Brees, I don't think Peyton Manning are generational talents. I think Andrew Luck ended up being a generational talent. I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
But so then what? Then how does one, in your eyes, be a generational talent? Because there's not a lot of difference.
Production. Let me chime in here because I love the argument back and forth between y'all. I ain't trying to get in the way of it.
got it.
Here's the reality. The operative word here is. Do you believe Arch Manning is a generational talent? He could be, but he's not.
Why not?
Not yet. What have you seen to say that he is?
There's no evidence.
There's no evidence.
JB, what I don't like about what Stephen A. Smith did there is he totally redefined the conversation because Ryan Clark and Dan Orlovsky aren't talking about production. That's not about being a generational talent. That's about what did you do with your talent, whether it's generational, decade-national, or yearly. It's what you did with your talent. I have to defend Ryan Clark and say I don't think he's denigrating Tom Brady, criticizing Tom Brady. He's acknowledging like, hey, man, the guy went in the 6th round or 7th round for a reason. The guy didn't start at Michigan for most of the time for a reason. He developed into a generational player and perhaps the greatest player we've ever seen, but he was not a generational talent.
It's a tough one for me because is Josh Allen a generational talent to you?
He's in that conversation, yes.
He had no scholarship offers.
Whether he's going to live up to it.
He had no scholarship offers. He went JUCO. So like that, there's a go ahead.
Well, you're right there, but let's say as it relates to what he produced at Wyoming and where he got drafted in the NFL, he didn't get drafted off his production at Wyoming. He got drafted off his talent and potential. And that's what, and a lot of that is related to talent.
I see that discussion's so hard to define because I don't know if you can really define it how they did it on ESPN. I think all of them are completely off their rocker. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, both junior college guys. Cam Newton, junior college guy. After he went D1, came back JUCO. Everybody questioned his mental fortitude, his IQ.
Hold for 1 second. Hold for 1 second. Cam Newton is an unquestioned generational talent.
No doubt.
I do think we can agree on that.
No question. So is Aaron Rodgers. So is Josh Allen. Like, whether it's feet or arm talent, Jason, generational talent is the position we're talking about. Aaron Rodgers is top 3, maybe the best ball spinner of all time. That's generational. Like, there's no debating that. Like, you cannot tell me that Aaron Rodgers isn't the best ball spinner or in the conversation of all time with Dan Marino, Elway, Favre. Like, really, that's really it. And now Stafford is right in there in my book too. So, like, you have a generational arm talent.
Gotta troll me.
Cam Newton is a generational freak athlete talent. Like, you know what I mean? There's a difference. He didn't have the arm talent of Aaron Rodgers, but he's a freak of nature, generational talent. Here's the issue that I agree with Stephen A. You agree with Ryan Clark. Both of us disagree with these guys all the time. It's funny. The only reason I agree with Stephen A. over Ryan Clark is the generational talent discussion at the end of the day has to come to results. It's a results-oriented business we're in. There's no gray area. You either win at it or you lose at it, period. There's no – how many guys have we called generational talents coming out of college that have been bust? Like, let's be honest. Look at all the guys.
You can have generational talent and be a bust. I'm going to go to a different sport.
Yeah.
Michael Beasley has damn near as much talent as LeBron James. It's within a whisker.
Yeah.
He blew it. He didn't take advantage of his generational talent. Happens all the time. You can have generational talent. And so what really we're arguing, generational player. That's Ray Lewis. I think Brian Urlacher had more talent than Ray Lewis. And actually, they weren't in the same draft, but he went higher in the draft than Ray Lewis. And because of his generational talent, he lived up to his generational talent, Urlacher, but he didn't max it out to the level that Ray Lewis did. And so, you know, I just think the production side of it is about, are you a generational player? Are you a Hall of Famer? On what level of elite are you?
It's just so subjective, though, isn't it? Isn't it subjective, though? Like Ray Lewis's team versus Urlacher team. Like, you put Urlacher on that Ravens team. You think they don't win a Super Bowl? They win a Super Bowl. It matters.
Hold for one second. Hold for 1 second. Look, I love Urlacher. This is no disrespect. But there are unique things about Ray Lewis in his film study and his leadership and that emotional energy that he provided to the Baltimore Ravens. He set a culture in Baltimore that lasted 20 years.
Well,
and so that's, you know, he gets a Super Bowl at the beginning of his career. He gets a Super Bowl at the end of his career. That's a very unique thing for a defensive player.
Yeah, I don't think Urlacher ever had that D-line or Ed Reed either. Like, it matters. I think there's a lot of guys that could have won Super Bowls there. London Fletcher is the most underrated linebacker in the history of football. Steve Kim and I go at it every single day. Dick Vermeil's on my show, Jason, who you respect and love. Don't tell me you don't.
Yeah, I do.
London Fletcher, the only reason you're not talking about London Fletcher because he's 5'10". Keep it honest. Be honest.
Yeah, he's 5'10". And look, man, there's a lot that goes into being a generational player, which Urlacher was. He just wasn't at the same level as Ray Lewis, is all I'm saying.
But all things matter, though. How many quarterbacks are generational talents that go to horrible, crappy teams or franchises, and we just lose track of them? Phillip Rivers. Like, how many? Does he go to Giants with the Eli deal and win 2 Super Bowls? He's more talented. Like, it matters. Like, at the end of the day, it has to matter at some part of this thing on where you get drafted and where you end up. Because there's a lot of guys we can say, man, Drew Bledsoe. Like, we got guys that are generational freak. Like, Drew Bledsoe was a generational arm talent at the time that got replaced by a 6th-rounder who we're now calling the GOAT. But, like, let's be honest. If it's not a hit out of bounds.
Drew Brees, and this is not a shot at Drew
No, I said Drew Bledsoe. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it matters where you go because that's a guy that was a generational talent coming out of college with the arm strength and all the level. He threw like Mahomes does now, 3-quarter, every release, big-time 6'5" kid, cannon. Without being hit out of bounds and being crippled by a sternum injury, we don't see Tom Brady. So that's my only point in this is it all matters. There's little things that happen in life that we're like, okay, it matters because we argue all day long. Drew Bledsoe was 10 times more talented than Tom Brady. 10 times.
Got you. And that is my point. You're talking about what ends up making someone a generational player.
And that's why the argument don't overlap. Yeah.
What makes someone a generational talent is like, I'm telling you, since Jeff George was in 3rd or 4th grade, the ball came out of his hands in such a beautiful fashion that we kept saying, like, hey, man, this kid's going to be the first pick in the NFL draft when we were little kids. And so that's just, I don't think anyone saw Drew Brees or Tom Brady as a little kid and was just dead set certain, like, oh, man, that's going to be the first pick in the NFL draft.
And that's where you agree with Ryan Clark is what you're saying.
Yes. And that's all what Orlovsky's saying about Arch Manning is, hey, man, this kid, the ball comes out of his hands in a special way. He's got size. He's got this. He's got the heritage. This is a generational talent. He's not saying he's going to be a generational player. The guy may flop at Texas. He's off to a nice start at doing that. He may flop. But we've all, you know, we fell into it because, again, a lot of it's mental. And that's why I always say you're better off with a talented player that is missing a couple of things. That will make a guy work harder, work on the little things. That's where I think Tom Brady's advantage is he didn't have all the talent. It's like Wilt Chamberlain. If Wilt Chamberlain had a little less talent, he'd have worked harder on his free throws. He'd have worked harder on the little things of dealing with his teammates and being a better teammate and getting the best out of his teammates the way Bill Russell did. It's why LeBron James, to me, he'll never be Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan probably had generational talent, but Michael Jordan went through that experience in high school where he wasn't good enough at sophomore or whatever, and that put a chip on his shoulder. And that he never let that chip go. And then he got drafted number 3, despite being probably the most talented guy in that draft. And that put a little chip on his shoulder. But the guys at the very top of the draft with the Mike Mamulas, the Jadeveon Clowneys, there's a generational talent that way too much talent and, you know, underachieved.
Well, we got overpaid underachievers all day. Dak Prescott. I mean, we can go down the list. Like, there's a ton of them.
Stop.
I mean, come on. Patrick Mahomes. We got a lot of those guys.
JB, good segue into last night's game.
Set you up.
You just took a pot shot. Yeah, you just took a pot shot at Dak Prescott. And I don't know how you could take a pot shot at. That's the best I've seen Dak Prescott look. I loved Dak Prescott last night. Today is not the day to take a pot shot at Dak Prescott. He was tremendous.
He was good. His overpaid wide receiver let him down. The most overpaid wide receiver in football. I've been saying for 4 years, nobody believes me, but now they're starting to believe me. Your greatness is defined, Jason, by how you play in the biggest moments on the biggest stage. This was the same Cowboys at the end of the day. That's why I'm never a Dak believer. At the end of the day, you're the same Cowboy team you've been for the last 31 years, which is going to be this year, 31 years. And this guy, for whatever reason, you fumble in the low red zone. You drop 3 critical balls, 4 overall. You got a new guy who is really dead money on the cap in George Pickens, who wouldn't block a. This is what happens in the playoffs. They lose close games because they don't make the necessary plays in the biggest moments. And that's Dak's knock, that's CeeDee Lamb. And for whatever reason, the Cowboys lack a running back and a running game for America's team. It blows my mind. Because the last time they were good, in the 70s with Dorsett, Emmitt Smith, even Ezekiel Elliott when they were good, they have no running game. I don't know why. I have no idea why they can't get a running back. When everybody else in America can get a running back, Derrick Henry can get traded to the Baltimore Ravens. The Cowboys can't get a running back. So the bottom line is this is the same old Cowboys, and that's why I'm never going to believe in Dak, but he did play well. But Dak always plays well in the regular season, Jason. He always plays well.
That was a different level of playing well last night. He was pretty flawless last night.
Here's
I'm a Dak critic. I know.
He
looked real good.
Here's the quarterback eyes working, and this is what, and I can't wait to break this down later today on on another show I'm doing. He goes from a drop ball in CeeDee Lamb. We get it. CeeDee Lamb dropped a wide open ball that would have put him in scoring position. I picked the Cowboys to win the game, actually, on my money line. There's the problem. The next play, he throws into double coverage, and the critics come crazy. He threw into double coverage. Well, if you know football, he don't throw into double coverage if CeeDee Lamb catches the damn ball the first time, right? So, but the fact of the matter is he did throw into double coverage. To take the next step to being elite and earning the $60 million you make, you can't throw into for it. Why? What are the excuses? This guy makes $35 million, the third highest paid wide receiver in football, and we're making excuses. You know who didn't drop the ball after the rain delay? Goddard. Like the team that wins the Super Bowl last year, the team that makes plays when it matters. We make excuses for these prima donnas that make all this money, and it blows my mind. I don't understand it. The same team on the other side had the same weather delay. Like, I don't understand why we make excuses for these guys. I think we've become numb to the America's team, and we have to make excuses for them because I think we feel sorry for elderly Jerry Jones and how he's transcended and made the NFL great because he has. He's a huge part of it. And I think we give these guys so many passes, Jason. I can't do it. That guy would have been benched for me. Get the heck out of my way. And then you got George Pickens, who does even worse on the blocking side of it. They have a problem in Dallas, and I think they're going to lose the Giants game too. And they're going to go 0-2, and the wheels are going to unfold once again. It's a bad scenario there, man.
All right, let me get to the big story from last night. I'm sympathetic towards Jalen Carter, and I wasn't until I saw that Dak spit in his direction toward his feet. And so it's not like I'm giving Jalen Carter an out, but it's like, oh, okay, I get how.
I know this to be fact. On the scouting report, let's get Jalen Carter out of the football game. That is what it is. That's what it is. That's true. That's what it happened. If he does anything because of his reputation, Jason, he's a hothead. We can get him out the game. So what does Dak do? He instigates what he did, and this kid bit. Okay? Now, as a head coach, what the hell are you doing, son? Spitting on that dude. We don't know that Dak started it, right? Bottom line is, second guy gets caught. Cool. We get it. The $60 million man to have to do that, though, and then still lose the football game, Jason, to me, is such a cowardly act and cowardly move to instigate that. Because you know what, Jason? As a quarterback, we do spit a lot. You know why? Our mouths get cotton mouth. We got a mouthpiece. We're barking it out. We get lack of water. Quarterbacks do spit more than anybody. That's a fact. Nobody will understand what I mean, but Dak said it on the podium. The only reason I'm bringing it up, Jason, we got to look at the facts here. He said, well, I wasn't going to spit on my O-lineman, so I spit. He did spit on his O-lineman. Go look. I got the end zone copy. He spit on his O-lineman's arms right there. Nobody wants to talk about it. He spit on his own O-line to show and prove a fact to get this guy riled up. Now, Jason, if Dak Prescott turns his head behind him, just tell us, Jason, how much green grass is behind Dak Prescott right now that's open and free to spit on? A lot, huh?
Look, you're right, but I guarantee you his old lineman thanked him for spitting on their arm and getting Jalen Carter tossed from the game.
No, that's my point. It was a scouting report. It was anytime we could get him out of the game, let's get him out. He bit, and that's his history, right? We know he has history. Here's the issue I have, though. Like, to me, this is a instigation. I do believe that it turns into street ball at some point. You can take Smitty's take and say, hey, you got to play smart and you can't get bitten into it and all that. I get that side. But when you spit at another man in life, or if you fake like you're going to swing at him and fake it, we're going to react just as a man. And to me, that's the act. It turned to street ball right there. And both of them, spitting on each other, to me, is the most feminine thing I've seen two football players do. And I just don't understand it. Jalen Carter had all the rest of the game if he were to decide, okay, I'm going to make you pay. I'm going to eat your lunch all game long by sacking you and all those things. That's one mindset. The other mindset is, and I know, in the heat of the battle, if you spit at me or you fake punch me or whatever, we're going to react. It is what it is. This is a young kid who's done dumb things his whole career. He's easy prey, and Dak played him. But Dak did a cowardly move. I think you should. This is the point I'm going to make. I'm going to leave it at this, Jason. Don't we instant replay everything? Why can't they instant replay and eject Dak Prescott? Like, why can't it be replayed and they eject Dak Prescott? Because we replay everything else. So I'm just trying to decide. If I'm the Eagles, I'm fighting the suspension that's coming down, and I'm going to show the film to the Roger Goodell and the committee, because at the end of the day, that's clearly inciting. He incited a riot. Let's be honest.
If Jalen Carter spits on the ground, there's no issue. Nothing happens. Dak Prescott did instigate, did bait, but he did nothing that's worthy of him getting ejected. JB, I know you don't like Dak Prescott. You've struggled here. The guy played a brilliant game last night and had some brilliant gamesmanship, it sounds like, at the beginning of the game that saved his offensive lineman a major headache. Hats off to Dak Prescott. Tremendous performance. Hope he does that all season. JB, I want to move on to tonight's game. This is Chargers, Chiefs. Just as fascinating to me as what we had last night with the Cowboys and the Eagles. But, JB, I feel real confident, even as a Chiefs fan. I think the Chargers are going to control this game from start to finish and beat the Chiefs in Brazil tonight. Your thoughts on Chiefs-Chargers tonight?
I'm with you 100%. Not just because I'm anti-Chief, but this is the time to get the Chiefs, as we know. Because Andy Reid, when he gets a book on you, meaning scout, game plan, etc., week 8, week 9, week 10, he's very hard to beat. Week 1, though, Harbaugh is great. I think Herbert will be great. And I think this team is a playoff team, and I think Herbert gets his first playoff win. He has to. Like, we're going to be talking, a lot of things about him if he doesn't get it done this year. This is the year. This is the time right now. Game 1, neutral site, not in Chiefs Arrowhead, to get it done. I think the Chargers win it as well. It's a -2.5 money line, our game. Chiefs -2.5. I'm taking the Chargers as well to win the game outright on the money line. I think this is the time to get them. Well, they beat them twice. I doubt it. Mahomes is 10-2 versus the Chargers, Jason. That is a part of this thing. I believe I'm right. He's 10-2 or 11-1. He's unbelievable. And Andy Reid is unbelievable versus the Chargers going back to his Eagle days. So this is a uphill battle for the Chargers, but this is the game 1. If they're going to get them, they're going to get them tonight on a neutral site. So I'm with you.
I saw it on ESPN at +3.5, and I'm saying that because later when I let you go, I'm going to give my 5 picks for football this weekend, and so I'm taking the Chargers +3.5. You're saying it's down to 2.5, but yeah, I think early in the season is the time for the Chargers, and I think it's very important. I think it's important for Harbaugh. I think it's important for Herbert that they come out and establish something. Look, the AFC West is arguably the best division in football. The Broncos are going to be a factor. The Chiefs are going to be a factor, obviously. The Chargers. And who knows what's going to happen with the Raiders, although, I can't see them doing much.
You are correct on ESPN. You are correct. It's -3.5. On my book, who sponsors my show, it's -2.5. So that's where we are. But you are correct. On ESPN, it is -3.5, Kansas City. So you're right on that side.
All right. I want to move to the most interesting college football game this weekend. And Urban Meyer's comment about Bryce Underwood, the freshman quarterback at Michigan. Let's play Urban Meyer talking about Bryce Underwood.
Let's wrap it up with this. I don't want to go too crazy, and I know he was a great high school quarterback, but Bryce Underwood at Michigan, Urban, I mean, I could have said he's great. That kid, that is different looking. What do you make of his talent?
I used the term about 4 minutes ago about grown-ass man, and I was shocked. I mean, again, surprised is not the right word, because I went back and watched every snap, and my God, I mean, that's a junior in college, and he's really not. And his physical presence is Cam Newton-ish. His size, his athleticism, his
Look at these throws. Wow.
I mean, spectacular. And I know, once again, they're not playing a top 10 team yet, and they will coming down the road here. But day one, he might be that guy that walks on campus. Like when I had Percy Harvin, you're just like, that's an absolute freak. Get him ready to play as fast as you can, because and I've heard that about him. Now that you saw it in person, that's legit.
Sounds like Urban Meyer's calling Bryce Underwood a generational talent. Is he doing too much?
No. He is, as far as by your definition, Ryan Clark's definition, he is that guy. He's a freak. I know a guy that trained him and coached him in high school. He is an absolute freak. Huge, and he hasn't even matured yet. Hasn't even grown into his body yet. He's going to be Cam Newton's size in the next 2 years. He's going to be ridiculous. Now, can he be a passer over being a thrower like Lamar Jackson, like these other guys that we critique? Because there's a difference in passing the football, Jason, and throwing it. He's got a cannon, Joe Milton-esque cannon, but he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Can he mature and become that? Can he become a passer and become an elite quarterback? There's a difference, Jason, between athletes playing quarterback and quarterbacks who are athletic. There's a huge difference. And he is a freak of nature at the quarterback position, but is he a quarterback who's athletic, or is he a freak athlete playing quarterback? That is yet to be determined. But generational talent, yes. He's a talent getting out the bed. Can he perform and produce at the end of the day when it matters? When Ohio State brings the house and he has to recognize coverage and make an accurate throw, is he going to be that guy? I don't expect him to do it this year, but that's to be determined if he's going to be that guy going forward.
And so Urban Meyer's comments, we got to remember, Urban Meyer had Tim Tebow and Cam Newton at Florida at the same time. He knows what Cam Newton looks like.
Leak, too. Leak's an athlete. Leak was a freak.
But he knows what Cam Newton looks like at 18 years old. Bryce Underwood, 18 years old. So he knows what he's projecting. And when I hear and Michigan is at Oklahoma, they're getting 5.5 points. I don't want to give away the whole next box, so I'm not even going to comment on that. But my thing, as it relates, when you start comparing someone to Cam Newton, by the time he finished college, to me, that Auburn team, and when you look back in retrospective, how little NFL talent was on that Auburn team. Yeah. Cam Newton carried that Auburn franchise to an undefeated season, national championship. It's one of the most incredible. And so when you start comparing someone to Cam Newton at 18, you're saying, like, this guy's capable of what Cam Newton did his senior year at Auburn. Man, that's high praise.
I don't know if he's doing. I don't know. I think you're skipping over the years, though, because I think he's comparing him to walking on campus as Cam did before he got let go and went to Blinn Junior College and then came back. He came back a much more mature, grown man after junior college. Junior college will do that to you. Just look at Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and so many others. So that's where I think it is. Walking on campus. He mentioned Percy Harvin, who may be the greatest thing. Him and Reggie Bush, maybe the two most electric football players ever in college. He's talking about that type of generational talent. That's what I believe Urban's discussing here. Now, I don't think he got asked by Colin, do you expect him to be Cam Newton by the time he's a senior? I don't know. I would love to know that question. But right now, walking on campus, he's all of that. He's all of that as far as just eyeball tests, pops off on the camera, eye in the sky. Don't lie, Jason. What's on the film matters. He is that guy, and I've watched a lot of them. He is a true generational talent, but can he produce and become Cam Newton winning a national title? I don't know.
Do you expect them to beat Oklahoma?
I do. I'm not a believer, even though Venables is a defensive guy. I'm not a believer in Venables as a head coach. And I think that's going to be the critical element here. I think the defense is good, but that guy right there, that young kid who doesn't know what Oklahoma is yet because he is so young, the benefit of being a young freak, he will beat Oklahoma with his feet when all else fails, and Oklahoma can't answer that. They have no answer for that. So as good as their defense could be and how good they started to play last year under Venable, because he's a defensive guy, all the greatness he did at Clemson, I don't think he's ready to manage a team and get over the hump as a head coach. And I think Michigan will squeak it out here, in my opinion. And I know Oklahoma's favored or minus 5.5 or something like that. I like Michigan, though, and I'm picking Michigan on one of my picks today.
JB, hats off to you. Thank you so much. Great job as always. We'll see you next time. When we come back, for those of you that like to have a little action on the football weekend, I got my Fearless 5 picks. Next.
Every idol was destroyed. He took the crown and kept it.
Michael Jordan didn't have to run around and tell everybody, I'm the forever king, I'm this, I'm that. Other people did it for him. And I know this is Nike, and I know LeBron didn't design, but he certainly had some oversight and could have said, like, hey guys, what are we doing here? You know, let's put out a commercial of other people talking about me and talking about how great I am. But this whole deal of me anointing myself and celebrating myself, this is the biggest example, proof that he's not the GOAT. All right, welcome back. Let's get into my Fearless 5 picks. You've already heard me give you a little preview about what I think about the Chiefs and the Chargers in Brazil tonight, but we will start there. Patrick Mahomes, as a starter, is 35-5 versus the AFC West and 10-2 versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The LA Chargers looking this season to advance into postseason play in consecutive seasons for the first time since 2008 and 2009. I absolutely love the Chargers in this game. They're getting 3.5 points according to ESPN. I think they win this game outright, but I damn sure think they're going to cover the 3.5 spread. If the Chiefs win, it'll be late with a field goal for a 2-point, 3-point win. They're not covering the hook. If you can get it at 3.5, I love the Chargers, but I also love them on the money line. Let's move to the biggest game in college football, Michigan at Oklahoma. Michigan looks to beat a ranked SEC team for the third consecutive year. And guess what? Oklahoma is 3-11 in its last 14 games against ranked teams. Why is Michigan getting 5.5 points? Why? Someone's got to help me understand that. OU may win this game, although I don't think they will, but OU's going to, they're not winning by 6. It's not happening. Brent Venables is a guy that I love as a defensive coordinator. I love his energy. It just hasn't translated for him as a head coach. If Brent Venables, it was always a red flag for me when Kansas State wouldn't hire Brent Venables. And so I haven't been surprised that he's struggled a bit here at Oklahoma and following in behind Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops. I think the struggles continue for Brent Venables. Michigan wins this game outright, but I certainly love them with 5.5 points. Third game I want to get to, West Virginia at Ohio U. West Virginia minus 3.5, and I know they're not that good. But there's one thing that I know. The Mid-American Conference has been gutted by NIL. I mean, been gutted. I'm a MAC guy. Ball State Cardinals. Every time we develop a good player, gutted by NIL and you know, the transfer portal. Ohio U, I was just talking to a buddy of mine. I think they had 3 offensive linemen that hopped in the transfer portal from last season, got $600,000 paydays. You know, in the MAC, top player gets $30,000-$40,000. They gut your team through this transfer portal and name, image, and likeness. The Bobcats, 17-1 in their last 18 home games. Rich Rodriguez has returned to Morgantown. I like Rich Rod. He coached at Michigan. He follows me over Twitter. He's now back at West Virginia. I think they crush OU. I don't understand this 3.5-point line. Next game, I want to talk about the game that's near and dear to my heart, the Border War in Kansas City, Missouri at Arrowhead Stadium. Kansas and Missouri resume their rivalry after they haven't played each other in football, I think, since 2011. We talked about it a bunch yesterday. This is, again, one of these crazy lines that I just don't see. Missouri winning by a touchdown, Kansas getting 6.5 points. I don't see it in this border war. Kansas may be a better team than Missouri. And, you know, I get it. It's at Missouri, but 6.5 seems way, way too much. I like Jaden Daniels. He's completing 80% of his passes. He's got 7 TDs through his first 2 games. Mizzou has won 11 straight non-conference games, but they ain't won 11 straight against Kansas. They may win. They're not covering the 6.5 points. And then finally, the biggest game of the NFL Sunday Night Football and biggest game in the NFL Sunday, Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson for all the marbles. Ravens at Bills. At Bills is the key word here. And I get everybody loves the Baltimore Ravens. Everybody loves Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. But why are the Bills getting points? Why at home? Why are the Bills getting a 1.5? I think Joey Bosa is going to play well. I think Josh Allen's going to play well. There was all this hype last year that Josh Allen didn't deserve the MVP. It was stolen from Lamar Jackson. I think Josh Allen plays really well. It's not that I think Lamar's going to play poorly, but I think Josh Allen's going to play really well. I think playing at home is going to favor the Bills. I expect the Bills to win this game and cover certainly the 1.5 point spread. Those are my fearless 5 picks for this coming football weekend. Enjoy, get rich. We'll keep a running tally on this all year so you can see how I do. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go to fearlessmission.com and become a subscriber. Hope you enjoyed this Friday's show. We went long, but we thought it was great. We thought there was a lot of good content for us to cover. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom.